Macca Masjid bomb blast. I have only one thing to say about it, that justice has not been done to all the victims of this such grievous terrorist attack which took place in Macca Masjid, and it clearly shows that the whole prosecution was compromised, and the way prosecution was done was to ensure that all these accused are subsequently acquitted, and it happened. Because if you see the pattern of prosecution done by NIA, the accused in this case, they got bail, and the BJP government had just come into power. They deliberately did not appeal against the bail that was given to the accused in this case and allowed 90 days to lapse. So there is a clear-cut pattern in all these cases, whether it is Ajmer blast. You see that in Ajmer blast, the NIA has not yet appealed. Now Asim Anand has been exonerated in Macca Masjid blast. He has been exonerated, acquitted in the Ajmer blast. And there's only one case pending against it, is Samjhota case. So we see a clear pattern that since this government has come into power, all the witnesses have turned hostile, because this trial started mainly after June-July 2014. And I have spoken to some of the lawyers, and even the witnesses were not properly cross-examined. So this whole prosecution that was done by NIA was basically to ensure that all these accused are acquitted by courts. I have no complaint against the courts, because it is for the prosecution to prove. Because you see, this is not a small crime, this is a terrorist attack. Bombs were used, plastic explosives were used, and that too in a place of worship. And how is it that since this government has come into power, Ajmer, only few people have been convicted, Macca Masjid, now all have been acquitted. In Malegaon, the NIA says that Sadhvi Pragya should be discharged. So there is a pattern now that all these people who have been accused will definitely go scot-free, because the NIA does not want to pursue this. It is a grave injustice which has happened to the victims, and I have the firm belief that today's judgment will weaken our fight against terrorism. Because when we say terrorism has no religion, what is happening over is that you see that the prosecution, the government of the day was not serious enough. Now this terrorist threat, I will see on record that this still looms over our heads. Whether it is Gauri Lankesh, Dabolkar, Pansare. Now this will continue, because if you don't crush terrorism and you have a selective approach in tackling terrorism, then this danger, this sort of people will always be there over our heads. And that is why I fear that tomorrow these people, if they are not controlled, not convicted, then the threat will always loom over our heads. And I feel that injustice has been done, and those 9 people who have lost their lives, 6 people also died in subsequent police firing. Now, who has done it? People cannot come from Mars and do it. Someone must have done it. What is the reaction of the government of India? Are they going to appeal against this judgment? Because in Ajmer they have not appealed against that judgment. We want to know from the BJP government that whether they are going to appeal against the judgment or not. I have spoken to I have met the Honorable Chief Minister. There was a review meeting today on minority issues. I have requested him that please use your good offices to tell the central government to put pressure on this BJP government that they should appeal against this judgment, and justice should be done to the people of Hyderabad. Because a place of worship was desecrated, a bomb blast was planted over there. So this is very sad, very sad. And my heart goes out to all the victims who lost their lives. I have met the victims. There were small children. There were other people. Now, how are we going to face them? How are we going to tell them that, the precious lives the relatives have lost, the justice has been done? So I feel that injustice has been done only because the NIA did not pursue this case. Either because they were not allowed or they just completely ignored it. And this is a pattern of NIA. When these people got bail, they did not appeal against it. They allowed the appeals, they allowed that bail to go on. So this clearly shows a pattern that we are not serious when it comes to fighting terrorism and all these organizations.
So with this verdict, a lot of people feel that the whole concept of a Hindu terror theory has been busted.
How is it busted? How is it busted? Then who has done it? What about the Ajmer judgment? How is it busted? Please tell me. And why are you joining it with the Hindu religion? These accused who were arrested and who now have been acquitted because of the weak prosecution, compromised prosecution, do they represent the whole Hindu community? No. Why are you joining this with Hindu community? These are people who have a very extreme ideology. They do not believe in the pluralism, in the ethos of this country. They believe in Hindu Rashtra. They believe in dominance of one religion in this country. And that is dangerous to our country. And that is why Pansare, Dabolkar have been murdered. Gauri Lankesh have been murdered. So please do not try to unnecessarily join the Hindu religion with it. There's a difference between Hindu religion and these people.
So BJP is basically alleging that then UPA government really created this theory of Hindu terror and how an entire theory was created. So do you believe that it was a theory, and do you also buy BJP's argument that they're trying to, or you see it as a politicization of the issue right now?
I only want to ask BJP, are they trying to say that Hemant Karkare was a liar? An officer who laid down his life fighting those bloody terrorists who came from our neighboring country. This was the investigation. This whole issue was unearthed, was exposed after due investigation by the great Hemant Karkare. So let BJP say that Hemant Karkare was a liar. Let them say it openly. Because you see, now it is they who are bringing religion into it. I am saying that if you have a compromise approach against people who indulge in terrorism, God forbid, then this threat looms over us. They will react and they will attack, they will do anything they want.
So at this point of time, how much of do you think the ruling party giving the religion name to the terror is the right thing? Because saffron terror,
I am not surprised. That is what they have even looked into religion into an 8-year-old girl who was raped. So I am not at all surprised with their obnoxious approach and attitude.
And are you confident enough that the centre will put pressure on this particular issue, because you are talking about the appeal part?
Thus, the Modi government, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is duty bound to ensure that the victims of these bomb blasts get justice. When the Prime Minister talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, when the Prime Minister says India first, I challenge the Modi government to do justice to those victims who have died because of a terrorist attack. It is the responsibility, moral, constitutional responsibility of the Prime Minister and his government to ensure that justice is done in this terrorist case. They must rise above their ideological affiliations and ensure that justice is done. But today, injustice has been done. Our fight against terrorism has been definitely weakened, and this is not good for our nation.
So last question, BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra says that Congress President Rahul Gandhi should apologize and carry out a candlelight vigil because of the verdict today, because it goes against what the UP had always spoken about. Do you agree with this?
I am sure that the BJP wants to distribute sweets. I am sure that the BJP wants to burst crackers on today's verdict. But it clearly shows that what sort of attitude they have. When the BJP talks so much about terrorism, what about those people who lost their loved ones? I have seen a small boy of 9-year-old who had memorized half of the Quran, half of his head was missing. What would you say to them? What would you say to them? Please tell me. It is not a question of candlelight vigil. It is a question of whether BJP will live up to its constitutional responsibilities as the government in power. Will they appeal against this judgment? Will they give a commitment to the nation that we will ensure that justice will be done in Macca Masjid blast? Will BJP say that our fight against terrorism is not compromised just because one XYZ belonging to one particular religion are made accused? Will BJP rise above all of this and discharge their constitutional responsibilities, which they must? But will they do it or not? That only time will tell. But I am definitely sure that as far as these cases are concerned, since this government has come into power, they have gone soft on them. And there are so many examples which one can give. For example, what Rohini Salyan said. What Rohini Salyan said has been proven right. NIA gave a discharge to Sadhvi Pragya. So there are so many things which clearly exposes this government so-called fight against terrorism.
सर हिंदी में सर जो ये फैसला आया है उस पर आपकी क्या प्रतिक्रिया?
आज जो स्पेशल NIA कोर्ट से फैसला आया है, यकीनन ये नाइंसाफी हुई है उन लोगों के साथ जिन्होंने अपने रिश्तेदारों को, अपने माँ बाप को, अपने भाई को खोया मक्का मस्जिद के बम ब्लास्ट में। और जो आज जो फैसला आया ये इसलिए आया क्योंकि NIA ने जो प्रोसिक्यूशन किया वो पूरा प्रोसिक्यूशन उनका कॉम्प्रोमाइज था। मैं पुकार रहा था पिछले कई साल से कि जब इस कोर्ट ने बेल दिया था, NIA ने 90 दिन के अंदर उस बेल या जमानत के खिलाफ अपील नहीं दायर की और 90 दिन खामोश बैठे रहे ताकि उनकी बेल परमानेंट हो जाए। तो ये जो जितने विटनेसेस हॉस्टाइल हुए, ये 2014 जून के बाद से हॉस्टाइल हो चुके हैं। NIA की जिम्मेदारी तो ये होनी चाहिए थी कि वो अपने केस को मजबूती के साथ, और ये गवाह हैं वहां पर एविडेंस